My name is Sabrina Lawson. At the family heritage celebration my brother threw at a local museum in downtown Boston, he made sure everyone knew exactly what he thought of me. He pointed right at me in front of cousins, business partners, and even local reporters covering the event. "Look at her," he said with that big smug grin. "My own sister still waiting tables still broke. Still the biggest embarrassment the Lawson name has ever had." Laughter rippled through the crowd. His wife covered her mouth like she was shocked, but her eyes were gleaming. My mother stood right next to him and didn't say a single word in my defense. Relatives turned away whispering. I stayed in the corner in the only decent dress I still owned, feeling smaller than ever. Then the main doors opened. A man walked in, ignored every handshake offered, ignored my brother completely, and came straight to me. He stopped, looked me in the eye with tears already forming, and said loud enough for the entire room to hear, "I owe you my entire life." The place went dead silent. My brother froze mid-sentence. No one there, including me, had any idea that those words were about to turn everything I'd endured for almost 30 years completely upside down. Stick around until the end of my story and hit that like button to show your support. My favorite part is the moment the stranger walked straight through the crowd, looked Sabrina right in the eye amid her brother's mocking laughter, and said loudly in the dead silence, "I owe you my entire life." What's your most jaw-dropping moment? Comment below. Don't miss out on more gripping stories about family betrayal, sweet revenge, and unexpected justice. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. To understand why the entire museum went silent that night, I have to take you back a long way to when the Lawson family lived in a run-down triple-decker in one of the working-class neighborhoods on the outskirts of Boston. Money was always tight. My dad worked construction until his back gave out, and my mom cleaned offices downtown. There were 3 of us kids, Hunter the oldest, me in the middle, and Trevor the youngest. From as early as I can remember, my parents made it clear who mattered most when it came to the future. "Boys carry the family name forward," my dad used to say over dinner. "They're the ones who build something that lasts." My mom would nod along and add, "Girls just need to find a good husband. That's how it works." Hunter was the golden child from the start. Smart, good at math, teachers always saying he had potential. When he got accepted to MIT on a partial scholarship, my parents acted like it was the answer to every problem we had. But even with the scholarship, the rest of the costs, books, housing, living expenses, were way beyond what our family could handle. I was 18 then, fresh out of high school with decent grades and my own acceptance letter to a state college. I'd been planning to study education, maybe become a teacher someday. But the night Hunter's acceptance came, my parents sat us all down at the kitchen table. "We can't let this opportunity slip," my dad said, looking straight at Hunter. "This is how the Lawson name gets out of this neighborhood for good." My mom turned to me. "Sabrina, you understand, right? You can always go to school later. Hunter needs this now." I remember the silence that followed. Trevor, only 14, just stared at his plate. Nobody asked what I wanted. It wasn't even a question in their minds. So I did what they expected. I turned down my acceptance, got a full-time job waiting tables at a 24-hour diner, and picked up evening shifts cleaning offices with my mom. Every paycheck went into an envelope marked Hunter's College Fund. I handed it over without complaint, because that's what you do for family, right? For 4 years, I worked 60, sometimes 70 hours a week. I came home smelling like grease and bleach, fell into bed and got up to do it again. Hunter sent postcards, at first pictures of the campus, notes about his classes, promises that once he graduated and got a good job, he'd pay me back and help everyone else too. My parents praised him constantly. At every family dinner, it was Hunter's doing so well, Hunter's going to make us proud. Trevor soaked it all up, watching how the rules worked. The boys got the investment, the girl got the sacrifice. When Hunter finally graduated with his engineering degree, my parents threw a small party in the backyard. They toasted to our son who's going to change everything. I stood there holding a tray of burgers still in my diner uniform because I'd come straight from a shift. Nobody thanked me out loud. My mom just patted my arm and said, "You did good, honey. Now Hunter can take care of things." I thought that was the end of it. I figured once he started working, things would even out. But they didn't. A few months after graduation, my mom sat me down again. "Hunter's got a big opportunity in California," she said. "Good starting salary, real career track. But he's worried about leaving us behind in this neighborhood." She didn't have to finish the sentence. I already knew what came next. "They think if he stays tied to us too close, he'll never get ahead," she went on. "People judge you by your family, Sabrina. You know how it is." Trevor, now 17 and already talking about starting his own business someday, chimed in from the doorway. "He needs a clean break. We all do." I asked to speak to Hunter myself. When he called that night, his voice was quiet, almost guilty. "They're right," he said. "If I keep sending money home, I'll never build anything big enough to really pull everyone up later. It's better this way." I told him I understood. I told him to go. I told him not to worry about me. And just like that, he was gone. After he left, the little money he did send at first dried up completely. My parents never brought it up again. Instead, they started pouring whatever hope they had left into Trevor. He was the one still at home, the one who stuck around, the one who deserved their focus now. I kept working, kept living in the same small apartment above the laundromat, kept sending a little money to my parents when I could. But the message was clear: my job was to support the boys' futures, not to have one of my own. That's how it started, the slow shift where I became the afterthought, the one who gave everything and got nothing back. After Hunter graduated from MIT, things shifted fast. He landed a solid entry-level engineering job at a firm in California right out of school. The starting pay was more than my parents had ever made combined. For the first few months, he sent money home enough to help with bills and even put a little aside. My mom talked about it nonstop, how Hunter was finally lifting the family up, how everything we'd sacrificed was paying off. But then the calls from my mom started changing. She'd say things like, "Hunter's bosses are watching him close. They don't want him distracted by family stuff back here." Or, "People in those circles judge you by where you come from. If he keeps sending too much money home, they'll think he's still tied to this neighborhood." Trevor, who was finishing high school and already talking about flipping houses with a friend, jumped in every time. "He's got to look like he's on his own, mom's right. If investors or higher-ups see he's supporting a whole family back in Boston, they'll think he's not serious." I heard it all secondhand at first. Then one evening, my mom sat me down in the living room. "Hunter's got a chance at a big promotion," she said. "But the company likes their young engineers to seem independent. No baggage." I asked what that meant exactly. She looked away. "It means it's better if he doesn't have to explain us. You especially, Sabrina, still waiting tables, still single. It doesn't look good." I told her I'd step back if it helped Hunter. I meant it. I stopped asking about the money he sent, stopped expecting anything. A few weeks later, Hunter called me directly. His voice sounded tired. "They're pushing me hard here," he said. "The partners say family obligations hold people back. They promoted the last guy who cut ties completely with his old life." I told him I got it. I told him to do what he needed. The call ended with him promising it was temporary, that once he was established, he'd bring everyone forward. The money stopped coming altogether after that. No explanation, no follow-up calls. My parents never questioned it. Instead, they turned all their attention to Trevor. He started small, buying a fixer-upper with a loan my dad co-signed, flipping it for a profit. My mom bragged about it to everyone. "Trevor's the one who stayed," she'd say. "He's building something right here." When I needed help with rent, once my mom sighed. "We can't keep carrying you, Sabrina. Trevor's business needs every dollar to grow." The shift was gradual but steady. Holidays became about Trevor's latest deal. My birthday got forgotten while they celebrated every milestone of his. The little allowance they gave me, $200 a month to help out, came with strings. I had to show up for family photos, smile for Trevor's social media posts about Lawson family values. If I said no, the money disappeared for a month. We're all making sacrifices, my mom would say. You need to pull your weight too. By the time Trevor married Morgan and started his commercial construction company, I was completely on the outside. They moved my mom into a nicer place near them. I stayed in my small apartment working double shifts to cover bills. Trevor began inviting me to events, holiday parties, company milestones, always with the same line: family sticks together. You should be there. But it was never about me. It was about the picture, the successful brother with his supportive family behind him. I went because the alternative was losing even that thin thread. The manipulation was quiet, but constant little comments about how I dressed, how I lived, reminders that I was lucky they still helped at all. That's how I ended up isolated, dependent on scraps, while Trevor built his empire on the idea that he was the one carrying the Lawson name forward. And then the family heritage celebration arrived. Trevor had been planning it for months. He'd donated a significant amount to the local museum in downtown Boston to fund a new exhibit on local business families. In return, they named a wing after the Lawsons and made him the guest of honor. Invitations went out to cousins, old neighbors, business associates, even a couple of local reporters. He called me a week before. You have to come, Sabrina. It's about family legacy. Everyone will be there. I knew what that meant. Show up, look presentable, stand in the background for photos. I found the one decent dress I owned and went. The event was held in the main gallery. White tablecloths catered food, a string quartet in the corner. Trevor and Morgan worked the room like professionals. He wore a tailored suit, shaking hands, posing for pictures next to the new plaque with our family name on it. Morgan, in a designer dress, laughed at all the right moments, telling everyone how Trevor had lifted the whole family up through hard work. Relatives I'd barely seen in years came up to congratulate him. Your brother's really made something of himself, one aunt said to me. You must be so proud. I smiled and nodded, holding a glass of cheap wine from the open bar. Then Trevor spotted me across the room. He waved me over to a group of his investors. Everybody, this is my sister Sabrina, he announced loudly. She's still finding her way, waiting tables downtown, living in that same little place. But hey, family's family, right? The group chuckled awkwardly. Morgan added, we keep trying to help her get on her feet, but you know how it is. Trevor kept going. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if the Lawson name would be better off without certain reminders of where we came from. He gestured at me, but blood's blood. My mother Janet stood right there sipping her drink, nodding along like it was all in good fun. The laughter wasn't awkward anymore. It was real. People turned away, already moving on to the next conversation. I felt the heat rise in my face, but I didn't respond. I'd learned long ago it never helped. That's when the main doors opened again. Hunter Lawson walked in. He was dressed sharply, dark suit, no tie, the kind of quiet confidence that comes from real success. People recognized him immediately. Whispers spread. That's Hunter Lawson, the CEO of the biggest construction group in the region. Trevor straightened up. Big smile, ready hand extended for the important handshake. Hunter didn't stop. He scanned the room. Once locked eyes with me and walked straight through the crowd, past Trevor, past Morgan, past everyone. He stopped in front of me, face tight with emotion, eyes already red. Then he said it loud enough for the nearest groups to hear, loud enough that the string quartet seemed to fade. I owe you my entire life. The room went completely still. Glasses stopped halfway to mouths. Trevor stood frozen, hand still out. Hunter didn't look at anyone else. Just me. Right after those words, Trevor grabbed my arm and pulled me into a side corridor behind the galleries. What the hell was that? He hissed, face red. Who told him to come here? I pulled away. I haven't spoken to Hunter in decades. My mother appeared behind him looking panicked. This is humiliating, she whispered. In front of all these people. You need to fix this, Sabrina. Trevor leaned in closer. That monthly check you get, it's done. Finished. Unless you go out there right now and make this go away. Morgan joined them, arms crossed. Everyone's talking. You need to leave. Now. I walked out of the corridor alone, past the staring guests, and left the museum. 3 days later, I got a text from an unknown number, a simple address for a small coffee shop in Back Bay, and a time. I went. Hunter was already there, sitting in a corner booth with just black coffee. He looked older than I expected, gray at the temples, lines around his eyes, but it was definitely him. He stood when I approached. Sabrina. We sat. For a minute, neither of us spoke. I've been looking for you, he said finally. For years. Private investigators, databases, everything. Your trail went cold after Mom and Trevor moved. I asked why now. I got a tip about this event, Trevor using the Lawson name for his donation. I came to see for myself. He paused. I couldn't believe what I saw. What he said to you. He told me about his life, building his company from nothing, no help from our parents after the cutoff, marrying once, and divorcing amicably, no kids. All the success, but always wondering about me. Everything I have, he said, started with what you gave up. I never forgot that. Then he made the offer a position running the charitable foundation attached to his company. Good salary benefits, real responsibility, managing grants for education and community development in Boston. No strings, he said. No family obligations. Just a job you earned because you're capable, and because it's the least I can do. I thought about the alternative, going back to depending on Trevor's scraps, on my mother's silence. I accepted. Within a week, I started. The pay was more than I'd ever made, enough for my own place, my own bills, my own choices. For the first time in decades, nobody controlled my money. A few weeks after I started the new job, things started falling apart for Trevor. Hunter mentioned it casually one day at the office. He'd been reviewing potential partners for a major project and came across Trevor's company in the bids. Something didn't add up, he said. The numbers were too good. Inflated property values, questionable tax write-offs. He dug deeper, not out of revenge. He said just due diligence. What he found was serious. Trevor had been overvaluing projects to secure bigger loans, hiding income, to dodge taxes, using shell companies to move money around. Hunter didn't hesitate. He compiled the evidence and sent it anonymously to the IRS tip line. The investigation moved fast. Auditors showed up at Trevor's office unannounced, bank accounts frozen pending review. Major contracts pulled when word got out. Within months, the company collapsed. Creditors called in loans Trevor couldn't cover. He had to sell the big house in the suburbs at a loss. Morgan packed her things and left, told friends she couldn't stay with a failure. Trevor tried fighting it in court, but the evidence was solid. He avoided criminal charges through a plea deal, but the financial penalties wiped him out. He ended up renting a small condo, driving a used car, looking for work that never came. The Lawson name he'd been so proud of displaying at the museum became poison in local business circles. My mother lost the nice place near him. She couldn't afford it alone. She moved back to a smaller apartment in our old neighborhood. All the relatives who'd laughed that night suddenly went quiet when Trevor's name came up. When Trevor lost everything, my mother started calling constantly. The first voicemail was tearful. Sabrina, honey, we need to talk. Your brother's in real trouble. He needs family now more than ever. Then came the texts, promises to change, apologies for things that were said, please to meet. I didn't respond. Trevor tried next, angry voicemails about betrayal, how I'd destroyed the family by taking that job with Hunter. Then the tone shifted to begging, could I ask Hunter to help put in a good word, anything. Morgan posted on social media, subtle at first, then not. Comments about some people forgetting where they came from, blood turning on blood for money. She tagged local groups, shared old family photos with captions about loyalty. Some cousins piled on private messages calling me ungrateful, saying I owed my mother after everything she'd done. A few even suggested I was jealous of Trevor's success all along. One aunt left a long voice message: "Your mother cries every night. How can you do this to her?" I blocked numbers as they came, changed my phone plan, made my social media private. My mother showed up at my new apartment once unannounced, looking smaller than I remembered. She cried on the doorstep, said Trevor was depressed, that they were losing everything that family forgives. I listened from the doorway. When she finished, I told her calmly, "You chose sides a long time ago. This is what happens when you pick wrong." I closed the door. Trevor tried one last time, an email full of accusations, then desperation. He needed a loan just to get back on his feet. For Mom's sake. I didn't reply. The pressure stopped after that. No more messages, no more surprise visits. They'd run out of ways to reach me. Now, more than a year after that night at the museum, I live in my own apartment in Boston. It's nothing fancy, a one-bedroom with good light and a small balcony where I keep herbs growing, but it's mine. Paid for with my salary from the foundation. I manage programs that help kids from neighborhoods like ours get scholarships, training a real shot. The work matters. I go to bed tired but satisfied, wake up without dread. I haven't spoken to my mother or Trevor since I closed that door. No calls, no texts, no accidental run-ins. Boston's big enough when you want it to be. Trevor works odd construction jobs, now lives quietly. My mother stays in her apartment, sees a few old friends, but the big family gatherings stopped. The relatives who once laughed don't call anymore. Hunter and I talk sometimes, work updates, mostly occasional coffee. He respects the space. We're connected by what happened, but we're not trying to rebuild some perfect sibling bond. That's okay. Looking back, the hardest part wasn't the poverty or the years of scraping by. It was realizing that family isn't automatic. Blood doesn't earn loyalty when it's only ever taken from you. My parents taught me early that some kids matter more than others. Trevor learned he could take without giving back. They all chose comfort over fairness, silence over standing up. I don't hate them. I just don't need them. The real family turned out to be the one I chose, the colleagues who treat me as an equal. The kids whose lives get better because of the work we do, the quiet life I've built on my own terms. If you're out there dealing with family who treats you like you're less, who makes you small to feel big themselves, know this: you don't owe them your future. Forgiveness isn't required. Walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes cutting ties is the strongest thing you can do. It's your life. You get to decide who stays in it.